It was a nice countdown, Sean. Thank you.
And I guess everybody's
Excellent. I
heard
see
over.
everyone. Yes. Welcome, everyone. I
Hello.
think that's Abby on here, Hillary.
Hello, Abby.
And Andy and Brian.
Oh,
How
and
cool.
Karen's here. Hi, Karen.
Welcome, everyone.
Good morning. Oh, good after. Depends on where you are. Good noon if you're on the East Coast.
Good day. Good day,
Good
everyone.
day to everyone.
Okay. All right. For those just joining right now, we really want to make this as enjoyable and interactive as possible, as much as you're comfortable. So feel free to add comments, questions, raise your hand, interrupt us as much as you want. Like, I want this to be a discussion more than a lecture or anything like that. So have as much fun as you want with it. And then, so that's on the front slide. Are we starting out? We're not starting out with a poll, right? We just had on that screen the most memorable
Yeah,
referral experience.
if we want to give folks a couple minutes to roll in, Nikki, right before we started. Oh, to reiterate what you just said, I think for all the attendees, we definitely want you to feel like you get your questions answered. So if you have
Yeah.
something, go ahead and ask it either through the Q&A or through the chat. And if we know we're going to answer it later, we'll tell you that, but otherwise we'll try and get to it. What I was saying is right before when we were prepping for this a few minutes ago, Nikki, you had a good sort of interesting referral story. And I figure a lot of the folks on this event do as well. But if you're willing to share the one you just told me, I think everyone would enjoy that.
I've got a couple, but I'll share the flowers one. When I used to work at a firm, we would always partner with COIs, so estate attorneys, divorce attorneys, and all of that. And so we had partnered with this divorce attorney. She specialized in helping the woman of the divorce, and these were usually higher net worth individuals. And so it was more complicated. And it was fun because we would partner with her and we had a really great relationship and a lot of referrals would go back and forth. Well, she was known as the divorce attorney in Dallas. And so she never sent clients or COIs anything for Christmas or Thanksgiving because she always said that they get bombarded with a lot. She would always send on Valentine's Day like flowers to her divorced clients. And then she would, for the particular group that we had at the firm, we had one main advisor who would partner with her a lot, and it was a man who was married and whatnot. But she would always send him a bouquet of 24 long stem red roses for every February 14th as like a thank you for the relationship and whatnot. And it was a lot of fun, and we built a really good relationship, and we also knew specifically who she targeted and who she helped. But I will just remember that always. And he would always come walking around the corner and he would laugh at those. And then he would let other us women in the office take the flowers home because it was fun. And I'm still talking about her to this day. And she was actually just featured in a magazine. And I was like, there she is. So that was just a fun little story.
I like that. Well, it's a good segue. Somebody put in the chat, they wanted to confirm that participants don't have a camera or a mic. I couldn't figure out how to respond to that person. So I'll let everyone know. By default, yes, everybody who's an attendee, your camera and your mic are off. However, if you have an option button down there to raise your hand and you have a similar story you want to share, you can raise your hand and tell it, or you can jot it in the webinar chat.
Yeah, if you
Um,
raise your hand, we can make you
um,
a co-panelist for the moment to share your stories.
and Sean, if you would check and make sure that all the participants have the opportunity for everyone to see each other's chats. I'm not sure we have that. I can't tell if we have that set up. Um, so
All right,
we
let's get
might have a shy crowd.
that's all right. We can get started. All right. So I should probably welcome everyone, right? All right, everyone, welcome. Today's focus is what we're talking about is what happens after someone refers you. Um, and as you know, the game has changed a little bit, and it's only going to continue changing. And so that's what we really wanted to talk about um, today. And I will introduce myself. You guys can see my slides, right? I have like severe trauma from not having it. Okay. My name is Niki Clark, and I am the founder and CEO of Niki Clark Marketing. I've been in marketing since 2006, specifically working with advisors since 2015. And our biggest thing is that we really want to make sure that your marketing is not boring. So just because it's the financial industry doesn't mean we have to bore our people to oblivion.
I am Hillary Gale. I'm the founder and CEO of Moneta Copy, and we specialize in working with financial professionals, mostly advisors, CPAs, some financial coaches who have a niche, build online visibility through story-driven marketing. And I've been working with advisors since 2020 and love every minute of it.
Every minute?
Every single minute.
All right. Hello again, everybody. Sorry I don't look exactly like that AI photo. I'm Whit Lanier. I've been working in reviews for a little over a decade and have been working with financial advisors since the SEC marketing rule, since before the SEC marketing rule deadline back in November of 22. Our goal is to help advisors embrace online reviews on your own terms. That basically means even if you have some compliance constraints, we think we've got a lot of ways that we can work with you to help still let you embrace testimonials in the form of reviews. And we'll talk more about it. So that's all I'll say now.
Absolutely. That picture looks great.
Thanks.
All right. Um, so the shift is right before, and it still happens sometimes, but the biggest shift lately has been that even though a referral happens, the very first thing that that person is most likely going to do is they're going to Google you. They're going to check you out online and do their sleuthing. And that's just because they need to feel that sense of trust. They need to get to know you. They need to see what's going on out there. And if they're smart, they're going to check to make sure there's no red flags out there. And this is just helping them start to create that relationship. These are those various touch points. And it just spurs on, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but what they see online is what spurs them on even more if they do in fact pick up the phone or schedule a meeting. I've had referrals given to me for certain businesses, and what I found online, I was like, no, 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 not. So the referral does not actually win, especially for me. Both of these must work together. The human trust and the digital validation. They work hand in hand, not only in this industry, but every other single industry. So if you don't have an online presence, that can cause some concern for people. It's not like no one's going to, it's not going to be a deal breaker. But if you're up against an advisor who has a strong digital presence or has reviews, people are going to feel more likely to go to that other person because they feel a sense of trust and they like what they're seeing. So, oops, I went a little too far. Hold on, we're not there yet. Um, so whatever they find online is what's going to make them take that next step. Our hot water tank went out. It was so exciting. I really love that. Our hot water tank went out, and the company that we ended up calling was based off of the referrals, based off of what people said of the engagement that they had with the company. And we actually, this is interesting. We chose a company that had less reviews, but the reviews were better. So, and we actually also saved about $7,000. So, the first couple of moments are very important.
So when we talk about referrals and the relationship between referrals and reviews, what we're really trying to do is remove as much friction as possible, because there can be a lot of friction that comes up when people are making referrals, when the people who have been referred are deciding to reach out or not. And so we're going to start by just understanding what is causing the friction. So then we can work to remove all those sources of friction and make referrals much, much easier. Then we'll go through, we'll talk about, how to make yourself easy to talk about, how to build visible proof and confidence. That'll be Whit. And then how you can create a consistent referral system so that you're getting referrals regularly and not just like one off a few throughout the year.
And ultimately, it's always going to be important to remove friction in everything that you can possibly think of, whether it's reviews, whether it's scheduling a meeting with you, or finding the phone number on your website. Like, make it incredibly easy as much as you possibly can. So, we are going to understand what causes some of this friction. Hillary, did you want to talk about these right here?
Yeah, I can talk about these. So, there are really 5 psychological barriers that can cause friction during the review process. And so, the first 2 are uncertainty and lack of clarity. This friction really happens for the people who want to refer you, but are hesitating to do so. And so, they may be feeling uncertain. I don't know exactly what to say about you. Somebody might come to them and be complaining about a financial problem that they have, but they're not sure that you can actually help them with that financial problem. And so they have uncertainty about whether or not that's what you do, that's what you can help with. This is a client that you'd actually like to work with. And similarly, lack of clarity. I'm not sure who you work with best. So they're not sure when specific situations, arise and they potentially could refer you. They're not sure. Is this somebody that she
I
really
also
likes to
want to
work with?
jump in here. I've been speaking with a lot of other people within our industry, and one thing I've been asking specifically is all of us, whoever's here on this call, all of us marketers, for the most part, play nice, and we always end the call with "How can I help you?" or "What can I help you with?" But what's been really interesting is something that you can do with your COIs is what is your ideal client and who would you like me to refer to you? Then you get really really specific, and it just creates this immediate, and I don't want to use the word clarity because it's so overused right now with AI, but it does. It creates clarity, and I can think specifically of these conversations I've had over the last 2 weeks. I know exactly who Mary Kate Goodclick serves and who to send to her because we specifically hashed it out and she gave me one sentence. So I really highly recommend that you do that when working with COIs. Sorry to butt in. I'm done.
No, no, absolutely. I think this is so true. And there are advisors out there who are so clear that I've never even worked with these advisors, but I've referred people to them because it's so clear who they work with and what they help with. And so,
McManus.
yeah, Matt McManus, yeah,
Yes.
is the one that comes to mind. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So these 3 at the bottom, these are tricky ones. Lack of proof. My experience is great, but I don't know if everyone else's is. So there may be some questions there around is my friend going to have as good of an experience as I do? That creates some social risk. And then fear of fallout. Some people are worried, with advisors, are they gonna badger my friend 6 times? What if my friend doesn't want to work with them? Is that going to create some awkwardness between me and my friend, between me and my advisor? And so we want to do our best to really remove all these sources of friction so the referral can happen smoothly and seamlessly.
All right, so we have a poll up, and we wanted to see what everyone thinks here. Which of these do you believe is the biggest source of hesitation for your clients? And just if you take a couple minutes, I'd love to see what you think is happening. That provides a lot more insight. I don't think I'm gonna answer the poll myself. I have opinions, but
I think I think we should stay out of it.
We don't want to skew the results.
right. So we'll wait for those to come through. And again, just want to reiterate, if you have any questions, concerns, if we're going too fast, just hop in. We would love to hear from you. We want to make this as much interactive as possible. Okay, so referrals don't fail because of lack of satisfaction. They just don't know yet feel safe, or also they're not confident or don't know what to say either. That's been our biggest takeaway that we've been finding lately. So you want to make yourself easy to talk about. I'm going to say as much as, oh, we have the poll responses. Let's go. Uncertainty. Okay. So 33% said, so which of these do you believe is the biggest source of hesitation for your client? 33 said uncertainty. 33 said social risk. That is interesting. Thank you so much for that insight. I'm interested in that. So thank you. Fear of fallout. 27% lack of proof was 7 and none of lack of clarity.
Mm.
So, okay.
Which I bet we'd get different answers if we could interview everyone's clients.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Um, yes. Yes. Uh-huh. So you want to make yourself really easy to talk about. And there's a lot of ways that you can go about doing that. So when people can describe clearly and quickly and succinctly what you do, it's just going to be a lot easier for them to make those referrals, right? So how do you make yourself easy to talk about? Do you want me to go to the next one? I can keep talking. I'll just keep talking. How
Oh
about that?
yeah, yeah, this is you. Go for it.
You want to clarify your niche 100%. The more specific you can be, the better. The divorce attorney I told you about, I know exactly who her niche was. It was, women high net worth. Often, often they were either like a political candidate's wife or they were in sports and they were the sports wife. And they were going through divorce, right? We knew exactly who to send them to because they would be in really good hands, not only because of what we had experienced before, but we had also had a lot of one-on-one meetings with her and her team. So the more specific, the better. I know a lot of advisors serve wealth management, and that's great, like 100%. But if you can have like a soapbox that you care about, something that you're very passionate about, it's going to help you stand out because there's a lot of advisors out there who are doing wealth management for individuals or retirement planning. That's great, but like what's that differentiator? That's going to be really, really important. Were you going to say something, Whit, or can I keep going?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I feel like for people who serve a broad client base, it's hard. They can be hesitant to narrow down their niche. And I know that could be its own webinar some other time. But I feel like the reality is uh, you increase your chances of them thinking of you in a situation by so much. So even if it isn't as narrow, I think we've got a great example coming up. Even if it isn't as narrow as like I only serve physicians, you could still for the client, if you're talking to a client, you could talk about the life event that first brought the two of you together and say, that's such a, I really enjoy working with people in that situation because it can be difficult and hopefully you've found this helpful.
Absolutely. If people can't clearly describe what you do, you're adding so much friction and you're making that list, that length of referrals either non-existent or so much longer because it's going to take them a lot longer to understand what you do. And the financial industry is already confusing enough. So let's find a way to like make it really easy for people to refer you. And that's what I really want to talk about. You can still say you do wealth management, but if you do have something that you're passionate about, my big thing is, okay, I'm a marketer for financial advisors, but that's not finite enough. My big thing is like we got to go and we got to do something that's different from what everyone else is doing. And so when we bring on new clients, I need that commitment from you that you're going to be okay going outside of the box, right? And so that's our big soapbox that we're on. Okay, and then you want to sharpen your messaging. Good, strong messaging provides, I'm going to use the buzzword, but does provide so much clarity. When clients know exactly the language to use, then they can talk more freely, and it's just a whole lot easier. Whit, I know exactly what he does because him and I have spoken a lot, and he's laid it out really simply for me. So I am able to then, when I'm talking to people, I've made myself a little cheat sheet and I pull it up and I give the talking points because he's made it easy for me. He's been really specific. He could have come out and said, I help advisors get reviews. Well, I don't even know what that means, right? So know your niche or have a soapbox and be very clear about what services you perform or who you help.
And just to kind of bring that, if we could go back really quick
Yeah.
to clarify your messaging or sharpen your messaging, I think that doesn't just mean sharpen it for yourself and understand, but put it everywhere. So when you sharpen your messaging, you make sure you update your website, you update your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn tagline, and your banner image, and all of that stuff so that people see it everywhere and they can also start to kind of internalize it for you.
Yes. And then also, this is a bonus. When you do update it everywhere, stick to that one. Don't have a 5 or 6 phrases or taglines going out there. I'm calling myself out. I've got like 3 or 4, and we're in the middle of a rebrand, so give me a little bit of grace. But really, if you can stick to one, that's going, Nike, just do it, right? Like just stick to one. Do
So we
yeah.
have we have a quick example here. I'm very much a visual learner and just have to see things kind of laid out. And so what clear, sharp messaging really looks like is she helps single women feel confident about traveling in retirement without worrying about running out of money. So not only does it clarify who she helps the best, single women, it clarifies what she helps them with. And that's very, very specific, but it's not so specific that there's only 1 or 2 people, in the world who want this. We know that there's a lot of single women who look forward to this in retirement. And so when somebody is talking to their coworker and they're talking about how they really hope they can travel in retirement or they wish they would be able to travel more in retirement, your name's going to be top of mind, as opposed to she does comprehensive financial planning for retirees. That's very vague, very broad. It doesn't spark that memory trigger.
Well, no one out there is using comprehensive. The only people that are financial advisors. So if you're talking to another financial advisor, great, right? But no one is Googling comprehensive financial planning. So
Yeah. So by implementing, these 2 things, clarify your niche and sharpen your messaging, you're removing 2 of those psychological barriers and reducing the friction. So you're removing the uncertainty and you're removing the lack of clarity.
which we're all about, right? So you want to explain, so then the comfort statement comes in. And actually, Wit is the one that I think shared this with us a while ago, and it was kind of a light bulb moment. And I loved it so much. Wit, you're technically, are you, no, technically, I don't think you're coming up, but can you just explain this a little bit? Because I love it.
Yeah, and as we said at the beginning, I'll give a shout out to Bill Cates, who I saw at Future Proof, and he spent some time talking about this. This, I think, maps so well to, I forget which of those 5 boxes, but we'll see it. This basically, it's maybe the last one. Let's say I do think you're great, and I have a friend who or a relative who I know is looking for someone, but I don't know exactly what my relative wants. And the last thing that I want is for me to give their name to you and you to cold call them 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, bombard them with emails nonstop. And so the idea is, again, if we frame it in terms of removing hesitations or removing friction, this can happen at the time you ask for a referral, or it can happen long before you ask for a referral, and just say something along the lines of, you know, uh, Nikki, I think I heard you say one of your relatives is starting a business. If we could find a comfortable way to make that introduction, would you have an interest in that? If you did, just so you know, all I would do is offer to have a conversation just like we're having now. I don't ever want to pressure people. I don't ever want to put a hard sell on them. And so you can plant the seed and make it very clear what your intention is, and more importantly, what you would not do with that introduction so that you can eliminate. I think that was fear of fallout. I don't have the slides in front of me, but
I would lean big into what you're not going to do. I think
yeah.
that's what most people are worried about. And if you just, provide that comfort to them that when you make this referral or recommendation, I promise you, I will not bombard their inbox or text them every single day. That's what people want to hear.
So
All
this is
right.
This is
Go
that
ahead.
fear of fallout that Whit was
Mhm.
alluding to. Yes, you were
Yeah.
right. It was the last one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the easier you are to explain, the safer it feels. And that's all this really is, right? This is a highly emotional industry, whether we want to admit it or not. And it's all about relations and feeling safe. And a lot of people base how they feel, especially women, calling us out here. But if we walk into a room, like, how do we feel? We're assessing everything, right? And so how can you make people feel these certain ways or think these certain ways that are very reassuring, comforting, and safe? All right, confidence, yes. So reviews are the referral rehearsals, which was another brilliant thing that Whit shared with us. He's just a wealth of information, nonstop. Whit, do you want to go into what you mean by this?
Yeah, of course. And I'm sure you all can relate to this. I do feel like I talk to advisors about referrals every day, but each conversation sometimes uncovers a new gem. So this was actually two of the different podcasts I was on, is where we sort of surfaced this idea of reviews as referral rehearsals. It's a lot of R's. The way I like to frame it is reviews can be valuable both before a referral opportunity presents itself and after a referral opportunity presents itself. But so if we go back to those points of friction, I think the first box, or those hesitations, the first box is, I don't know what to say about you. And I would say there's two prongs to that. One is, I don't know what you want me to say about you. And then two is, I don't know how I would articulate how I feel about you. And I think one of the most important things you can do with whether it's a client or a center of influence, you want, if they have a sense that you are delivering value, the first thing you need to do is to get them to convert that good feeling, that feeling of value into words, because that is its own stumbling block. If an opportunity presents itself and I have not yet thought of how to turn a good feeling into words, that's going to reduce the likelihood of my willingness to speak up. And so it is a lower stakes ask, I would argue, asking for a review. It's a lower stakes ask, it's a lower pressure ask, but at the heart of it, you're still asking this person to say, reflect on your experience with me and share, put into words what you think has been worthwhile about it. You're not explicitly asking for a good review, but the rest of the world has trained people when you're asking for a review, they know that ideally you're going to share those things that are good. So that's really the simplest terms of what we mean here, is that if today in October I get a review request and I write a review for my advisor, and then at Thanksgiving I'm with family members and something comes up, I already know exactly how I feel, how to verbalize how I feel, and when and how I might want to bring that up. Um, the other thing that I'd said though is, yes, it is valuable before a referral opportunity comes up and after. Now, I hope it's okay to share this, Nikki and Hillary. When we were doing one of our prep calls for this, uh, you all admitted to me that you are often asked by friends and colleagues if you have an advisor that you would recommend. And I think all three of us are in an interesting situation in that we interact with advisors all the time, but for most of them, we have no experience as their client. And all of us were like, well, I feel like maybe there should be a better frame of reference, but I look at their reviews to figure out who I should refer. And I think if we're willing to admit that, there's a very, very good chance that that's true for everyone else. And so I think this speaks to a couple of the other boxes on the slide there, which is, you know, let's say I'd said maybe Nikki is my financial advisor. I have a great relationship. I think she does a great job. But I don't think of myself as a typical client for a couple of reasons. I think my setup or my personality are really different. And so I'm not 100% sure a couple other people I know would have the same experience. And so I have a little bit of that. Maybe it's social risk. I really should have printed out these boxes. I have a little bit of hesitation about that. In reviews, really helped me feel like I am not alone in thinking that my experience was good and that the good experience I've had should be transferable to other people. So that in that way, it both this is all before we sort of make the referral and put the ball in the court of the prospect. This is all just getting to giving the referral. And a lot of people overlook that me seeing my advisor's other good reviews is going to make me much more confident in referring them. We'll talk more, I think, in later slides about AEO, SEO,
Yeah.
and visibility from reviews, but obviously
Okay.
those play a big role as well.
One thing I do want to reiterate, it's something you told us that I love. It's the dress rehearsal before the performance. So when you ask people for reviews, and I thought about this because sometimes when I hear people say something, I'm like, whatever, okay. But when Whit said this, so if someone has asked me for a review and I'm like, sure, yes, I would love to leave you a review. First of all, I haven't thought of to do it myself. So please ask people because they don't think to do it themselves unless they've had a bad experience, which I left a scathing one for Hyundai. But if you want someone to leave a review, ask. Then maybe give them a couple tips. Now you can't tell them what to say. The SEC will not like that, but you can give them a couple of ideas on how to start. But then they're like, yeah, okay. So they write that review, and all of a sudden there's like this stronger connection, and then it stays more top of mind. It's a little bit more ingrained because now they've typed it out and now they have a better memory, and then they're more likely to leave a, sorry, make the referral later because they've already taken that big step and almost like imprinted it on their memory or whatnot,
Yeah.
you know?
No,
But if I'm leaving reviews, I can't wait to tell other people about it because I'm super excited. So whatever I find, usually on Amazon, I am making Jeff Bezos so rich. But whatever I find and I leave reviews and then I'm like sharing it with everyone because I've went that extra step. So um there's this psychological thing that happens to us, and I'm not a shrink or anything like that, but I'll just say those reviews have so many different things that are happening, behind the scenes that are really important.
it's
Um,
powerful to name your feelings, right? That's
Yeah.
basically what this is. I have a good feeling about my advisor, but I've never put it into words, and it changes once I do.
Right?
So Barbara just asked a question, and I'm going to read it aloud because I think it just goes to the hosts and panelists, but I think it's very relevant to this conversation. So Barbara asked, do you ever have a conversation, I'm assuming with a client, to help them talk through what they like and then offer to share your notes so you can keep it authentic to them and capture sound bites from the conversation to make it easier for them? So Barbara, I'm wondering, is that so that they can use it as a review, or is that as kind of like referral practice?
So I think she's asking um if you would have a conversation for a review. Okay.
I'll chime in and say it's maybe borderline what the way that she phrased it, which is right. One of the things we don't want to bias. One of the things you have to be careful about is not biasing the review. However, in the context of a referral, I think some of the stuff that I have read is, and again, if we look at this as a process, not a point in time, if you approach your client relationships where you are always listening for any time they use value language, meaning if they express something that acknowledges that you have delivered value, that's the moment where you want to acknowledge what they've said, maybe get them to elaborate on it a little bit, and maybe then, maybe not, is when you could ask for a referral based on their articulation of their own value. Uh, it's iffy if you would then also mention wanting a review. We can talk in a minute about sort of the logistics of asking for reviews. But I think big picture, it is a great idea to encourage them to articulate what value they feel like they're getting out of the relationship.
Yeah, we have examples, and I know when people, sign up with Amplify Review, you have some scripts that they can use, and Hillary and I have. The biggest thing is that you can give them ideas and talking points that make them feel safe because a lot of clients value their privacy and as they should, but they can still explain, how the process was when they signed up with you, or there's different ways, and we have some really great ideas that we can talk about a little bit later. Did you
Let
want
me,
go?
I'll
Yes.
try and chug through a couple of these. I want to make sure I don't take up too more time than I should. But this is such a powerful stat, and I have gone and looked all over the place. This has been tracked for a while, and it initially is shocking. Initially, I was in disbelief that anyone would make this claim, that reviews are trusted as much as personal recommendations. But I think this is another conversation Nikki, Hillary, and I had. The prime example to drive home this point is restaurants. And what I think everyone has had the experience of, I've got a special occasion coming up. I want to pick out just the right restaurant, and I get a recommendation from a very trusted a friend who I think has similar taste to me. I'm not just going to go straight and make a reservation at that restaurant. I'm going to see what that restaurant's ratings are. And more importantly, if the ratings are lukewarm, what's going to win out? My trusted friend's recommendation or the lukewarm ratings? And for me, I'm going to have a ton of hesitation to go ahead and book if it's a 3.5 on Google or something.
I will
So
not book. Like
once you
there will be
frame
no hesitation. I will not book.
once you frame it that way, this stat all of a sudden it has credibility. You're like, oh, it really does matter just as much. So
Hmm.
we're good there. Let's move ahead. I don't want us to run out of time on this stuff. So asking for reviews, I'm going to go through this slide fairly quickly. Look, the idea, yes, is you don't need to worry about this making you seem needy. You don't need to worry about this making you seem narcissistic. Every other industry in the world has already trained people on sort of the reciprocity of reviews, and I do feel like that's a great word to use to talk about it. What advisors usually want to do is build a relationship with their clients. And if you think about anything else, a relationship is strengthened if it is two-way. If the only thing that ever happens is the advisor giving and doing for their client, yes, that's sort of the way the payment works, but you will make the relationship stronger if you allow them the opportunity to do you a favor. The other thing you can do is frame it as number one, I really care about what you think. And then number two, I really think you will help other people. I think your perspective would really help other people. So I'm going to leave it at that for this slide because I know we have
Okay.
another one with a checklist on it later. This, honestly, I don't know that we need to dwell too long on it because our restaurant example talked about it, but very quickly, data says when consumers go looking for referrals or recommendations, on average, they get 2.6 names or businesses or options. And so to the very opening premise of that Nikki teed up at the beginning, I have three, if I round that up to three, I have three names. I'm not just going to call them alphabetically. I'm not going to pick my favorite name and reach out to them. I'm going to Google all three of those names. And whether I am looking for reviews or not, if one of them has 55-star reviews and the other two do not, I can't miss that and I can't ignore it and I can't neglect it. And so you can frame this as how great reviews are as a magnet to get prospects to choose you, or we can frame it as loss aversion, that if you're one of the people on the left or the right, you were on that short list and you didn't get the call because they couldn't find that social proof and reinforcement that they needed to feel comfortable.
Oops. Yep.
We're good on that. So this, it's a big topic. I'm going to touch on it briefly. Um, the way very quickly, one of the differences that we offer is we encourage people to collect reviews in a closed loop system and publish them on their own website. It is something that no compliance officer has taken issue with in terms of this is a fully compliant way to do this. There's a number of benefits. But in the context of referrals, if a human put, Nikki's my middle box here, so I'll pick on her. If a human recommended Nikki to me and I Google Nikki, what I want everyone to see is that when you use our system to put reviews on your own site, they are marked up so that they show up to these crawlers as reviews, just like Google does, just as any other third-party site. And so, because when I'm Googling Nikki and I can see reviews that are only on my path to Nikki's website, there is less of a chance that I'm going to go shop for an advisor somewhere else. All I do is I get this reassurance and this social proof while I stay on the path to her digital front door.
And I'm just going to do a plug here. Schema markup is really important in this day and age. I sound like an old person, but it is very important. We ourselves at our company, we've already implemented it. We are having all of our clients do it. It just basically tells AI searches what to crawl on your website. So if you um have a website team that you're working with, reach out to them and get that going, or feel free to contact me. We offer it as well.
So this is recapping reviews, and actually, I would add in that top left box. We talked about uncertainty from the perspective of what would I say, and then obviously most of what I talked about was both lack of proof and social risk. So lots and lots of reassurance on every front for both the recommender and the person being referred. Uh,
Confidence.
yes.
Yep. This was it's a little blurry, but I was sharing something on LinkedIn, and this Jennifer couldn't have said it like I couldn't have said it any better than Jennifer. Your client's words sell better than any copywriter ever could, and this is just so unbelievably true. I'm just gonna let Jennifer take all the credit for that one and let that sink in for everyone here.
So the next step is to create a consistent referral system. And so consistent referrals, they're not just these, singular moments in time. They are systems that you build into your processes, into your annual review meetings. If you do surge meetings, you have a little referral system that you do along with your surge meeting times. And so that you are repeatedly asking for referrals in a way that feels comfortable for you and for the client, but you're not just leaving it to chance. And so that's when referrals become really a part of your marketing strategy, because most advisors do credit a lot of their growth to referrals. And so
Hmm.
you can take a lot of control over that growth strategy when you make it systematic. Nikki, I know you
Yes.
have thoughts here too.
So many thoughts. I'm a strategy fiend, so I really, you know, want to oops, I went too far. Sorry, guys. Strategy is just so important because referrals, basically, I would say it's like the lifeblood of any business out there for sure. But when speaking with advisors, most advisors say most of their business growth does come from referrals. So why wouldn't you want a system or a strategy in place to make that happen and make them better, make them more consistent? And so referrals become strategic when they're part of how you operate, embed in regular touch points, uh, part of natural conversations, part of professional collaborations. You should never treat it like a one-off or I'll get to that later. And it's so easy to say I'll get to that later. Just said it earlier today, so I 100% get it. But if you just set it aside and only do it like once or twice a year, I mean, that's still better than nothing, right? But it should be always ongoing. Even when we're ourselves asking for Google reviews, we're finding ways that we can always be being implementing that. And we're finding ways that we can help that with our clients as well. So it should be something ongoing. It shouldn't be discussed when you're doing your year-end planning or beginning of the year and then let it go to the wave side. Being as proactive as you can, and then having a schedule set in place, having the strategy set in place where you can somewhat like make it run on autopilot. I've loved some people what they do is there's a lot of advisors out there, and I can't remember who recommended this, but people say, and this is brilliant, instead of clients sending them gifts for their birthday or for Christmas, they're like, we would just love a Google review or a testimonial. And like people are like, oh, yes, I would love to give that. Or if you add it like in your email signature or at the bottom of the website, that way you're satisfying the SEC rules also. And so all of us here would definitely recommend that this be constant all the time. Even if you just want to do it once a month, I mean, that's still 12 opportunities throughout the year, right? That you can do it. I just sent out a email campaign for a client yesterday. I think it only went to 30 people, and I checked before this webinar. I was like, did they get another Google Business Review? And they did, right? So like that's really exciting. So just constantly thinking of ways that you can ask for those reviews. The one thing I really like about Amplify reviews is a lot of clients don't want to leave a Google review because it's their face and their name, right? There's a little bit of confidentiality, a lot of bit of confidentiality using Amplify reviews that protects that person a lot more, and they're more likely to be giving those reviews. Uh, we got all of these. Check, 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 because we're good. This is what I'm super excited. I'm a little upset at you, Whit. I was going to change this, but I didn't have time. Reviews tell us what to do, but this, we're going to brand this as Whit's checklist. So go.
Well, Nikki gets all the credit, right? I really appreciate and enjoy having specific conversations with advisors and firms about their specific situations and concerns. But kudos to Nikki, who in one of our prep calls was like, Whit, people just want you to tell us what to do. So just put it on paper, tell us what to do. This was my attempt to do that. So look, our platform, if you want to work with our platform, if you want to work with our team, a big part of the benefit is we will understand your situation, come up with a plan just for you. But if you're dead set to do it alone, here's what you can do. Before you start, have a policy. Reach out, we can give you a template. This is just, if you are not going to ask every single one of your clients, have reasonable guidelines about which clients you would exclude and why. You can't cherry pick. That you will have to run by compliance, but you want to be able to articulate that. Similarly, this is more in a closed loop system. There are going to be circumstances why you wouldn't publish a review. The obvious ones are profanity, personally identifiable information, or if it contains a performance claim. Now, if you're just going through Google, you don't really have much control over those. But if you want to publish those on your website, you want to be able to document why wouldn't we publish everything? And you want to be able to document that. Then, to the meat of it, we're going to go ask. We recommend before you send something, sending an email a day or two ahead of time to get people thinking about it, to know that it's going to be on their mind, and usually to tell them it's completely optional. Here's why we're asking. Would love it if you do. Here are the sorts of things we'd want you to talk about. Then, when you send the actual email asking them to write a review, it is very short, it's very concise, very big, clear call to action. They know what they're being asked to do. If you do this for all of your clients at the outset, you can avoid any claim that you are cherry picking if everybody gets an opportunity. This is a popular question. For any one send, you should expect between a 10 and 30% response rate. That is a huge range. There are a lot of variables about the nature of your relationship, the number of clients you have. Generally, the data says that 72% of people would be willing to leave one, but that's in the long run. So if you get 25 in one ask, you should know that 50% of your clients still have a willingness if you catch them at the right moment.
Gotta
So
catch them on a good day.
yeah. And so that's your upfront. You'll get your first clump of reviews from that, but you do want to have an ongoing process so that you can catch the people on a better day and that you always have a new-ish review near the top of your review feed. Lots of ways you can do this. Nikki touched on one. A really simple one is at the end of a quarter, look back at everyone you had an in-person meeting with and give them another request to write a review. All you're doing there is taking advantage of the recency bias that they should remember their last interaction with you, and you're spreading out your asks over the year, and you're not bombarding everyone with a dedicated ask too much to where it gets annoying. And then we could almost do a whole webinar on putting them to use. Basically, everywhere you think you can get away with putting a review or your overall average rating or both, that is an opportunity to eliminate that friction, to reassure that hesitation. So some good ones are, like a great one to me is the contact us page. If you want to highlight a specific testimonial or review on the contact us page, that is really a decision point for a prospect. They're like, okay, I like the looks. I'll pick on Niki again. Unboring marketing, that sounds great. I like the idea of it. Do I really want to reach out? I've got to give her my name and my email address, but right in that moment, here's somebody whose language resonates with me and who sounds like they're very happy they reached out to her. So that's going to ease my fingers into filling out that form and clicking submit.
Which I meant to tell you, I've recommended this to multiple people that I've had conversations with, and they love the idea. So thank
Right?
you, Whit.
Sure.
What is this?
So this is our quick 3-minute
That's
referral
right.
payment
Yes.
checklist. If you can check off these things, you know that you have removed as many hesitations as you can from the referral process. So you've defined your niche and your promise in one line, your messaging is everywhere. You have shared a comfort statement. I think this is probably one that a lot of people here maybe haven't thought about before, maybe haven't done before, but share with your clients what will actually happen if they refer someone to you so that they're not afraid of any social fallout or anything like that. Keep your reviews visible and updated. If you've been lagging on reviews, reach out to Whit today so that you can start to get your review process in place. And then finally, start building review and referral prompts into 2 existing touch points that you have with clients, such as client review meetings, follow-up emails, COI check-ins. We can't forget about our COIs. It's not just all about clients when it comes to referrals, of course. So just figure out where are 2 areas of my business that repeat month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year, that I can build a little referral message into that.
Absolutely. I knew what that slide was all along. It's all great.
All along. So what this does, there might be some work up front, but in the long run, once you build these systems into your business, it will require less effort on your part and make referrals more consistent and just build stronger relationships all around so that this part of your growth becomes more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not just consistent, predictable.
Love it. Yes, absolutely. Um, we have Teresa, any tips and tricks? I feel like this is a very good Halloween question. Any tips and tricks when
Tricks and
reducing
treats.
friction when reducing friction when it comes to referrals from COIs?
Well, Teresa, I think you might have just given Niki and I our next topic for our next referral webinar.
Yes, we have quite a bit. Yeah, so yes, there are some tips and tricks. One is to definitely make sure that when Hillary and I feel very passionate about this, that after a year, if that COI isn't reciprocating, it's time to call them as an acquaintance and no longer a COI. So make sure you're not putting all your eggs into one basket and not I never am like the type of person that says I'll only do something for you if you do something for me. But if you're consistently giving someone business and they're not reciprocating back, it's time to reassess that. Sorry, my little soapbox on that one. So I'm going to go back to this question. When reducing friction when it comes to COIs. And so I'm just going to go back to when I was in a firm, I was over all of COI relationships and event planning and all of that. And I made it a point that if we were partnering with the COI, we did a lot of COI interactions with a CPA firm. They were stressed, they were overwhelmed. We took care of them all the time so that when it does come to be asking for referrals or even give testimonials, it's a no-brainer. It should never feel like a transaction. So during K1s that had to happen or taxes or whatnot, we would send cookies to their office. Or I would stop by and just check in and see how they're doing. One year I was so excited. It was a huge client of ours, just gigantic. We set up, those masseurs that come in that do chair massages for like 15 minutes? We set it up in their office because they were going to be pulling all-nighters, right? So any sort of touch points that you can add along the way, and also providing like this is how we take care of your clients when you send them to us. And
Comfort statement.
yes, right, the comfort statement. And also, if they ever have questions, or if their clients are having frequently asked questions about the line of work that you do, provide them a guide, a checklist, a one pager, or anything that COI can hand to their client has your name and your branding on it, right? And there it is. So I hope that answers that question, Teresa. Um, Hillary, did you have something?
Well, I could get on a soapbox about this too. I think we should do a webinar specifically on this topic because I think
Yeah.
this is also just a really good.
Teresa, feel free to email us,
Mhm.
Hillary and Nikki, and reach out to us. I'm sorry, I'm getting flustered a little bit because this is such a good one. So feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to answer that via email for you. And so I just want to wrap all of this up in a nice little bow. And Hillary and I have been partnering together, I think for a year now. I don't even know. But we have two offerings. And so we have one where it's referrals on purpose. If you scan that QR code, you'll see a little bit about this. This is really good. We deliver a playbook, help you with some messaging and some tools and strategies. And then if you want to go really all in, hands on, Abby, who's on this call, has already gone, we're halfway through with her. This is a lot more hands on. Um, and Hillary and I are busy bees in the background. If you scan that QR code, you can learn a little bit more about that. We deliver playbooks, strategies, checklists, guides, and way to get the referrals come going. We actually helped out an advisor get really specific on their niche, and it's proving to be successful so far. So feel free to reach out to us for those. And then Whit has a great offering.
One more slide.
Oh, sorry, guys. I
That's
got
all right.
sidetracked. No, one more. Sorry.
Actually,
Oh, let me just say this. Yes, Hillary and I did want to say that if you do want to join our workshop, and thank you, Abby, for that sweet recommendation. We are doing a special rate just for today. So at the end of tomorrow, it'll go back to 8,000. But there's a lot. If you scan that QR code, probably helps if I have it. If you scan this QR code, you'll see everything that we offer. Hillary and I take this seriously because we love working with advisors and we want to make sure it works for you. So, um, then Whit, here we go.
so yeah, what I alluded to earlier, there are tons of options for how folks can pursue reviews. We make a strong case that by collecting them in a closed loop system and displaying them on your own website, uh, keeps prospects who have been referred to you from looking elsewhere and delivers a ton of SEO and AI search benefit directly to your website. So for a lot of people, what we'll do that will help is we'll look at your current website, we'll find a page that would look good with your reviews on it, and we will go ahead and create a copy that would show you exactly how your website would look with our technology embedded in it, but with your color scheme, your fonts, your branding. That's the other nice advantage of this. We
Mhm.
really try to highlight you, not ourselves.
Which I love. Absolutely. So, thank you, everyone. Um, if you do have any questions that we didn't cover, we really do want to be able to answer those for you. So feel free to send an email, connect with us on LinkedIn, uh, or scan those QR codes that you can't scan anymore because I took it off the screen. I realized that. But you are welcome to reach out to us. We're happy to provide answers and next steps of how we can best help you out.
And we
That's
will
our
send the
comfort
replay.
statement.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Whit.
And that's our comfort statement. We won't put a hard
Yes.
sell. We just love to talk with you about whatever questions you
And
still
we
have.
won't spam email you. We're not those people.
But we will send the replay out as soon as it's, all done
Yeah.
rendering. So expect that this afternoon or tomorrow morning.
Hmm. Absolutely. All right. And if that's it, we were giving you 1 minute back in your day.
So generous.
Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you,
Yeah.
attending.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Appreciate it.